This is Albert Grande from pastatherapy.com and pizzatherapy.com. Today I'm going to tackle homemade pasta. It's not that hard. Follow along with me. I'm going to go with you step by step. Okay, the first thing you need to do, I've got 2 3/4 cups of flour, and to this flour I've added a teaspoon of salt. Next thing I do is I put 3 eggs in a bowl. It's real important that you try to let the eggs warm up to room temperature. I take the eggs, and to this I'm going to add a tablespoon of olive oil. Now, again, as with a lot of my recipes, this is totally optional. You don't have to do it. Your pasta will turn out great if you don't. I just kind of like the olive oil. I think it adds a great texture. So I'm going to beat these eggs. I'm going to beat them senseless. And we'll get ready to make the pasta. The next step is that I put my flour, and I'm using a bread flour. I think it just makes the pasta taste a little bit better, and I recommend it rather than all-purpose, but all-purpose will work fine. I've mounded out the flour, and I'm going to make like a little moat inside with my fingers. Okay? I make a little moat, little hole here. I'm going to add the eggs. And I'm going to take a fork and I'm going to try to encompass that in. Now remember, with the eggs I've added some olive oil, and you certainly don't have to do that. You add your egg mixture, and you slowly try to, mix the egg with the flour. And you keep bringing in more and more flour to it. And I really think there's nothing like homemade pasta. There really isn't. It's pretty incredible. You know, if you can make pizza or you make bread, you can easily make pasta. You know, as you may know, I'm not the neatest cook, so I always make a mess, but I think that's okay. So, again, you encompass the flour as much as you can with the egg mixture. And then when it's all encompassed in, you kind of bring it all together, and you knead it like you would any other flour. Now, it's real important that you knead it well. You don't want to skimp on your kneading time. You want to knead as much as possible. Okay, so leave me to my kneading, and I'll catch you on the next step. Okay, I've kneaded the pasta dough, and it's kind of difficult. I won't kid you. It takes a lot of effort. I kneaded it for about 5 to 8 minutes. And you want to make sure that it's kind of just a little bit tacky. You also need to know that if it's a little bit too dry, add a couple of drops of water, and it will help to moisten it a bit. If it's obviously too wet, you want to add a little bit of flour. So what I want to do now is I've got my pasta. Oh, the other tip obviously, if you don't want to make it by hand like I'm doing, you can easily do it in a food processor, and it will save this step, and you'll still have delicious pasta. Okay, so I've got my pasta dough. It's all kneaded. It's good. You knead it just like bread or like pizza dough. And I'm going to let it rest. I'm putting it in a ball. I'm going to let it rest for about 15 or 20 minutes. I'm going to cover it, and then I'll get to the next step. The next step is to quarter your pasta dough. I'm going to make it into 4 pieces. And as you can see, I've set up my pasta machine, so I'm going to be ready to roll it out. Okay, I've got my pasta dough quartered, and I've set my machine to the widest setting. And I've got a pan here that's been floured so the dough won't stick. and I just basically run it through. Now, one of the things about using a pasta machine, the concept behind it is that yes, you're flattening the pasta, but you're also kneading it. So it's kind of kneading the dough as well. So when you make your initial pasta dough, you don't have to knead it as much. And you're going to run it through about 4 or 5 times at each setting. And you want to really get that through. Now, ordinarily, I'd be doing this with, this is kind of a 2-man operation, but I don't know what happened to my help. They're kind of outside playing, so I'm going to have to do it by myself. This is a solo operation today. Now I've changed the setting. I'm going to run it through again. And again, you're going to run it through 3, 4, 5 times. And you'll see the pasta will get kind of a silky sheen to it. And it'll be easier to work with. And so that's that step, using the machine to run through the pasta. And you just keep doing it. One other tip that you want to do is to lightly put some flour on your pasta as it goes through, and that'll help it so it won't stick. It'll move a lot freer through the rollers. Now, you don't have to use a pasta machine. You can certainly roll it out by hand. It's a lot more work. And I have been with people that have made homemade raviolis and homemade pasta, and they did not use a machine. They did it all by hand from start to finish, but it's a lot of work. But that's certainly something you can consider. I recommend you buy a machine. They're a lot of fun to use, and they make making pasta a lot easier. They even come with an electric attachment, and you don't even have to do the cranking. You just turn on the electric motor. Today I'm making lasagna, so I don't want my noodles super thin, but I'm going to run it through a few more times and get a little bit thinner. Here's another tip. If your pasta gets too long to handle, like mine is, just take it and use a pizza cutter or a knife and cut it, and then run that through. This is almost the perfect thinness that I want for my lasagna noodles. But I'll just run it through once or twice more, just to make sure that it is perfecto.